Hi, Andrew from SACS. Have you ever seen a work group that needs to be more positive? One of the things that will determine people's well-being at work is purely and simply the ratio of positive versus negative experiences that they see around them. Work groups can get into a kind of a trap where they become so focused on the negative that they don't actually have the energy to get out of the situation that they're in. If that's the case with a work group here are some positive psychology activities, evidence-based positive psychology activities that can help in that situation. Number one is reducing focus on the past and concentrating on the future, making plans about how to get there. So if a work group's in a tough situation, one of the things that you can do is to cause them to get together and you facilitate a process where you cause them to reflect on what is the future that we're trying to head towards. In other words, imagine that we're the best team we can possibly be. Let's agree what those characteristics are, and let's make plans about how to get there. That might be our behaviours, it might be practical things like how we meet, might be processes, systems, whatever will help with that. But that's something that will cause people to have a clear idea of the future and a sense of optimism that we might be able to get there. That will improve the psychosocial tone of that team. Second is gratitude exercises such as 3 blessings. Originally researched by a gentleman by the name of Martin Seligman. And the 3 blessings are really, what you do is each day, before you go to bed, you'll write down or put in a spreadsheet if you're that way inclined, 3 things that happened to you today that were really good. 3 things that you're pleased about, that you consider to be blessings. Now, you might do that daily, you might do that weekly. If you're in a situation where you're a little depressed or the work group is a little depressed, doing this can markedly improve psychosocial tone, because what you're doing is you're exercising the neural pathways of positivity and gratitude rather than exercising the neural pathways of negativity. The next one is learned optimism exercises such as 3 anticipations. So that's like the blessings, but you're actually talking about what you might look forward to. We often encourage organisations and teams to have meetings where you get people to talk about some of the blessings that they've experienced in the last week, but also to talk about what we're looking forward to in the coming week. Acts of generosity. In psychological therapy, people are often encouraged these days to undertake random acts of kindness, to do kind things for other people, maybe for strangers. Now, a couple of things result from that. If we undertake acts of kindness and generosity to other people, firstly, it may well affect the way that people respond to us. We'll get more back from other people. But secondly, a really important thing is that we're reinforcing to us that we have agency in our own lives. We're reinforcing this to ourselves. Because after all, if I'm going to do something generous to other people, can I possibly be a helpless person? Can I be a victim? Well, no. Acts of generosity are self-affirming because they reaffirm our own authority and power. Signature strength exercises. That could be done again as an individual exercise or a group exercise. Signature strength exercises in a group looks like this. So you get the group together and you say, all right, well, let's talk about what we're really good at. And you might get people to split into small groups and to think of what we're really good at. And they might write them on flip charts. And then you might get people to vote for the things that we're really good at. And out of that process, you might identify that the group feels that our signature strengths are 1, 2, 3 things. Now, the next challenge is to undertake to use those signature strengths to cause ourselves to have high levels of well-being and high levels of productivity. But those signature strength exercises can be shown. Simply understanding our signature strengths can cause us to be happier and more resilient. But if you're using those signature strengths, that's a really good team building activity. Mindfulness activities, including meditation. Well, mindfulness is really just practicing being in the here and now. And a really simple mindfulness activity that I encourage people to undertake is a thing called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 looks like this. You identify 5 things that you can see. So you look around the room and you identify 5 things that you can see. You're trying to focus on them. So you're trying not to be distracted by thoughts about your work and those sorts of things. You're trying to be in the here and now. Then you close your eyes and you think of 4 things that you can feel. So that could be the pressure of the floor on your feet or your clothes or the temperature in the room or whatever. 3 is, still with your eyes closed, you would focus on 3 things that you can hear. And two things, with your eyes still closed, you might identify two things that you can smell. And finally, the one thing might be the taste in your mouth. Now that's a mindfulness activity, a meditation activity that doesn't take very long to do at all. But one of the things that we know is that when people practice this, and they practice mindfulness a lot, it tends to have an incremental benefit in terms of well-being. Finally, forming collaborative work groups to work together to create an ideal future. So that's something like the first point about reducing focus on the past and concentrating on the future. But the point is causing collaborative work groups to come together to create the best possible outcome. Now, whatever the issue is, whether it's a challenge or an opportunity, can be a way of causing the group to be very cohesive, but also it sponsors a sense of optimism because after all, we're all together working towards something. So there are some ideas about how to cause a sad work group to get happier. If this content has helped you, don't hesitate to like and subscribe.